Hello, I'm Rachel and this is Lunar Bird Book Club. This is my October wrap-up video where I talk about all the books that I read in October or buy in October. I'm doing that too. Now, I start these videos off with books that I'm carrying forward. However, at the end of my last video, I was carrying forward 9 books and that felt like too many. I've always read lots of books at once, but 9 just felt like too many, especially with all the other things that I have going on in my life at the moment. So I am growing and maturing as a reader. I am going to put 4 books back onto my TBR. So The Light of All That Falls by James Islington. I started reading this either in April or June and I got to page 131 and then stopped. So the bookmark is coming out. It's going back onto my TBR. Hopefully not for long because this is a library book that I do need to return, but hey. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I only started reading this about a month ago, but having edited my September video, I realised that I was reading too many books at once. So I'm barely started into this. I think I'm on like chapter 4. The bookmark is coming out. It's going back onto the TBR. Also, how cute is this bookmark? My friend got it me for my birthday. Blue Horses by Mary Oliver. This is a poetry book that I got from my cousin. I've only read about 3 or 4 poems. The bookmark is coming out. It's going back on the TBR. We'll revisit that at a later date. The Odyssey by Homer. This is the Emily Wilson translation. I have been reading this since February and I got about halfway through and then I stopped and I probably haven't read it in about 6 months, which is, you know, what is the point of it being on my TBR? Do you know what I mean? On my currently reading, I mean. So I'm taking the bookmark out and it is going back onto the TBR, which leaves only 5 books in my currently reading pile. I have The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I have Your Silence Will Not Protect You, which is a collection of essays and poems by Audre Lorde. I am nearly done with this. I think I've just got like 4 or 5 poems to read and then I can say that I've read it. This is a physical copy of Memory of Light by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson. Now I am listening to this, but I have put that on pause because I am listening to Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. This is because Cathy and I are going to talk about it, and also because Stormlight number 5 is coming out in December. So this is on pause while I read this, but once I've read this, this is Rhythm of War. Once I've read Rhythm of War, I can go back to Memory of Light. And I'm also still reading The Letters of Vincent van Gogh by Vincent van Gogh. I'm never going to stop reading this, let's be honest with myself. You know, I chip away at it sometimes, but progress is slow. So those are all the books that I am currently reading. It is 5 down from 9. I'm feeling very proud of myself for the decision that I've made to put these back on my TBR. I'm not a person who likes to DNF books. I know Cathy and I swapped reading styles for a few weeks this year and I was allowed to DNF books, but I didn't. It's the 13th of October and I have updates. So over the weekend I went down to Reading / London / Kent to see my friend in a production of Legally Blonde. Now in the car on the way to the train station, I finished Wizard of Oz. I finished the story at lunchtime at work, but then there's a little like author biography in the back and a little bit of extra information about Oz and the film and all that kind of stuff. And I read that as well. And I mean, aside from the story, that little biography at the end, L. Frank Baum sounds like a very interesting person. And I've never like really had the desire to ever read further biographies about authors. I know that's something that Cathy enjoys doing when she's read a few things that an author has written. She likes to study their lives a little bit. Even the tiny little autobiography in the back of this is full of very interesting things. So I kind of want to learn more about him. Like, did you know that L. Frank Baum's first name is actually Lyman? This book has been on my TBR for a very long time. I got it when I was a child and I never read it. And there are parts in it that I did not know happened in The Wizard of Oz. Like there's this bit where the Tin Man cuts the head off 40 wolves just in a row. And then the Scarecrow like breaks the necks of 40 crows just in a row. But I enjoyed reading this classic children's tale. So I read that on the car on the way to the train station, and then down the train on the way down and on the way up I started reading Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice, and I think I've finished part 2 on my way home today. So I'm about halfway through, and it is not what I was expecting at all. I mean, obviously I know that it's a novel, I know it's entirely fictitious, but the way that it reads, it's kind of like a lecture or a historical text or that kind of vibe. Just the way that it's present. I mean, maybe it's just that I don't read enough nonfiction, but yeah, because it's just Louis telling his story, and he's like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. It feels less like a novel than other novels that I have read. It's the 22nd of October today. I'm filming with Cathy tomorrow about Interview with a Vampire, and I still haven't finished it. I'm there. I'm on page, let me double check, 233 out of 368. So I've got about 130 pages to read. I will definitely have it done. Like, that's not a lot of pages. I'm going to Manchester today, and that involves about an hour on the train each way. So I should get this at least mostly done, and then I'll maybe finish it when I'm in bed. So I missed my train because I took a wrong turn and then had to like walk all the way around the block that it was on, as opposed to just walking a short way around the block that it was on. But it's okay. It just means another one's not for an hour. But all that means is that I can go and sit in a coffee shop and read a bit more of my book. So that's what I'm going to do, and hopefully that will help me finish it. I didn't read as much on the train here as I thought I would. Shocking nobody. It's still the 22nd of October. I am back from Manchester, where I'm at with Interview the Vampire. I am now on page 314. I don't remember what page I started on, but you do, because you just watched. So I read a certain amount of pages. I've got about 50 pages left, and I will definitely be able to get that finished before I go and film with Cathy tomorrow, so that's good. While I was in Manchester, I went to a bookshop called Queer Lit, which is an LGBTQ plus bookshop. I went there because it's my friend's birthday tomorrow, and she likes romance novels, but bemoans the fact that she can't find sapphic ones. So I went to this bookshop specifically for my friend. I got... My brother's cat is making noises below the camera. I got a romance called Something to Talk About by Meryl Wilsner. This is about a Hollywood actress and her assistant who are, there is like the tabloids post a picture of them laughing together, and then I don't really know. And then my friend also likes like crime novels, so I also got a sapphic crime novel called Dead End Girls by Wendy Hurd, and this is about a girl who's planning to fake her death, and then someone finds out that she's planning to fake her death, and instead of turning her in, is like, well, I want to fake my death too. I have read neither of these books, but I hope my friend enjoys them. I didn't buy any books for myself because I'm trying to be, Amy, leave them alone! Because I'm trying to be less of a consumer, and I have too many books already on my TBR to be buying new books. Leave it alone, that's a present. Interview with the Vampire has taken a turn that I was not expecting. But I am now like, I want to read this now, but I have to go out to rehearsal, so I can't. So I think this will probably be a stay up till 1 AM tonight to finish it off kind of thing. But yeah, it has been an interesting read, not really what I was expecting. It's the 23rd of October, and I lied in my video yesterday because I didn't finish reading An Interview with a Vampire when I got in bed. And I've been meaning to finish it off all day, and I kept on doing chores instead. Like, productive procrastination, isn't it? I don't know why. But I've just finished it, and I should have left to go and talk to Cathy about it about 5 minutes ago, but I've just finished it. I'm just going to lean out of frame to get my shoes, put them on before I leave. It's not what I expected. I think overall I did enjoy it, but it was definitely not what I was envisioning going in. And I think, I don't know, it was just a bit sad at the end. Would I read the second one? I don't really know. I don't know. I have about 10 minutes drive to Cathy's house to bring all my thoughts together, and then we'll actually talk about it in more detail, I guess. So if you want to hear more thoughts about Anne Rice's Into the Vampire, go back and watch our Fan with the First Time Reader video that came out last week. I want to say last week, maybe the week before. I don't know dates. No, last week. It's the 27th of October, and today I finished reading Rhythm of War. Well, rereading Rhythm of War. I have read this book before, and I really enjoyed it. I was listening to the audiobook version of Rhythm of War because Cathy had my physical copy at normal speed, sometimes 1.2, which is different to how I have listened to other books in the past. And then I got an ad for the Kindle version being 99p, so I bought it. And I was swapping between the two, which was, I enjoyed doing that. And then Cathy finished the Behemoth and gave me back my physical copy. So then for the last part 5, I was swapping between physical, and audio, which was really fun. I would say if you have the privilege of having more than one copy of a book, if you're ever reading it, like swap between them, because it just makes it more varied and fun, and I really enjoyed doing it. Yes, I cried. Yes, I smiled. I just really appreciate the stories that Brandon weaves. I think perhaps this book could be described as too long, but I mean, I enjoyed everything that I read, so for me, it's fine. For others, like, I'm thinking about how Cathy might have felt about it, and maybe she's not going to have enjoyed it as much as I did, but only time will tell. I'm excited for Wind and Truth. It's arriving on the 6th. I am out on the 6th and 7th, so I'm not going to have the most uninterrupted reading of it. And I can't decide if I want to binge read it over that weekend, or as close to that weekend as I can get it, so that Cathy can have it and we can talk about it, or if I want to take my time with it. I haven't fully decided. I guess the only way we're going to know is by how captivated I am by what is happening, because if I'm captivated, then I'm just going to read. I'm just going to read. It's the 31st of October, which means it's hot chocolate time. Got my hot chocolate in my koala. I'm going to tell you all about how the month has gone. So, I think I read 3 books this month. I finished The Wizard of Oz. I read Interview with the Vampire, and I finished Rhythm of War. I enjoyed all 3, so I'm feeling positive about the month. I retired some books to my TBR to come back to stop feeling overwhelmed, which I think was a sensible decision. I was planning to get to The Light of All That Falls this month, but ultimately I've just been too busy. I start a show next week, and I just haven't had the free time that I've had. I've just been like really tired from rehearsing on the other nights. So I haven't started the 3rd Lacanius novel. I was going to take it back to the library because I thought that it was due yesterday, and I was parked outside, and then I just really quickly checked on my library account just to see when it was due back, and it was actually due back on the 5th of November. Now, I don't think I have any renewals left, which is really bad. You shouldn't keep books in the library that long, should you? It is hopefully going to be my next read, but it's like 900 pages long, so I don't know if I'll have time to read it before the 5th. So the other year I listened to an audiobook called, I want to say, We'll Save the Galaxy for Cash, which is like a satire sci-fi comedy type thing by a guy called Yahtzee Croshaw. I'm re-listening to that right now because I finished Rhythm of War, but I didn't have time. I really want to listen to the last battle all in one go, but I think that's going to have to wait until after show week. So in the meantime, I need another audiobook to listen to. So I'm re-listening to the first one of these books because I also have the second one that I've never read. So I'm re-listening to the first one to remind myself of what happened, and then I'll listen to the second one. So I'm about halfway through that. Read an Agatha Christie play called Go Back for Murder, and I really enjoyed it. Also, when I finished reading The Wizard of Oz, I started listening to the Wicked soundtrack in my car, and I've never looked at the lyric booklet, but I looked at the lyric booklet, and it talks about Baum. I don't actually know how you say that guy's last name. It talks about him being called Lyman because Elphaba in the Wicked novel and the Wicked musical is called Elphaba because L. Frank Baum. L-F-B. Like, wow. I never put that together and I love it. And if you didn't know that, now you do. Books that I'm carrying forward. Letters of Vincent van Gogh, of course. Your Silence Will Not Protect You, and A Memory of Light. I'm just taking 3 forward, which feels so much nicer to say than the monstrosity of a list that I had last month. Maybe I should try and keep it at about that level going forward. I suppose it's technically 4 because I'm listening to the Yahtzee Croshaw book. That's all that I have to say in my October reading wrap-up. But Cathy's October reading journal is coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that in about 24 hours. Here at Luna Bird, we release videos every Friday, so I will see you next week. And it's to talk about Rhythm of War. How exciting!